Okay, so we are getting ready to go live, and I can, as soon as we do go live, I can share this with your Facebook. And
Thank you so much, Rick.
yep, you're welcome. All right, so I'm going to share it with. Let's see. You have to go on my Facebook and share it. Can you do
I have to
that?
go on your Facebook machine. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Just go to my
Yeah,
Facebook. I'm live, and you're
great.
live, and we're both live. You
Here we
can
are.
share it. Great.
Excellent. I'm watching myself on my phone about 5 seconds before where I am now, so it's always
Yeah. Very strange.
strange.
Okay, here we go. Getting ready. On here. All right. Good evening, everybody. This is Rick Conkoff from Rick Conkoff's Cafe, and we're actually Rick Conkoff's Coffee House. And we are going to have an amazing performance by Lars Rosager tonight. He's with us with his many, or at least several guitars.
Three.
And Lars, you want to give us a little introduction? Tell us who you are and where you're from and what you're bringing to us tonight, and then we'll probably kick you off with a song.
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much, Rick, and thank you so much to everybody out there tuning in, as it were. My name is Lars Rosager. I am from Petaluma, California, and I happen to still be in Petaluma, California at the moment. So everyone has an idea of sort of what my space is like at the very moment. It's a beautiful spring day. Happy Easter, I might venture to say, and hope everyone's doing well. So my story in a nutshell is music has been a part of my life since before birth, and I'm incredibly grateful for that, eternally grateful, and continuing to renew and refresh my perspectives on music, and so that continues to be just sort of valuable. Definitely further afield than in my own sort of world. I mean, the ability to share that with others is absolutely great. I mean, that's kind of the first thing that I want to put out there, is that there's a sense of community and how would you say it, sort of collective intelligence or collective creativity, effort, and just kind of an evolving discussion on life in so many ways through music. Again, sort of as a preface here, I don't mean to to be the only voice in the room here. I mean, I appreciate very much, again, Rick, kind of, being a partner in crime here and prodding me with any questions. I'll be playing some, singing some, doing a little bit of explanation and presentation on some of the material.
Great. So just a little background for everybody. Rick Conkoff's Coffee House came out of one of the silver linings of the pandemic, an opportunity for musicians who are really not getting to gig very much to gig and perform, to get to show what they can do, and also opportunities for people to send in either Venmo or PayPal donations, which go directly to the performers. And so I will just actually open by saying that Lars and I met through a total serendipitous experience, and quite by accident, doing some mundane tasks in the business world. And we got to talking, and he told me that he plays this kind of guitar, and it sounded so fascinating and so wonderful. And so I invited him on the show, and I would love to have you start us off with a number and do your little program. And when you want to hand it back to me, just go ahead and say so.
Indeed, yeah. As usual with these sorts of things, sometimes you look at the time and you say, "Wow, it's only been 3 minutes. It's felt like 10." I'm feeling somewhat a little bit excited in terms of nerves, but good nerves, and so I'm happy to share with everybody. Let me start by showing you guitar by guitar, kind of some of the particulars of the instrument. And that will, just kind of start a bit of background on the music itself. And so there we go. I'm here in my home office, studio, study, and more. So I'm just gonna grab this instrument here. I am very grateful to Matthew Grosso of Davis, California. He is a music teacher of mine. He has put this guitar into my hands. He calls it the Raga guitar, and clearly for good reason. It's set up to play Indian classical ragas. That's the intention behind this instrument. A few things to point out, maybe kind of interesting facts. Not just fun facts, but but interesting and perhaps life-changing facts. This instrument it is a 7-string guitar. A lot of my sort of publicity or interfacing with the music world and more has to do with kind of a title 7-string guitarist. This is just kind of a happenstance, more or less, that it happens to be 7-string, but those are really the playing strings. And then these are what's known as chakari in Indian classical tradition. So it gives you a bit of rhythmic interplay with what's being fretted. Some people consider the chakari as kind of taking a breath before you do before you sing a phrase. So I found that to be a how do you say, sort of a fertile way to just a nice fertile way to describe kind of the role of the chakari. The tuning of the frets themselves, I'm sure that you could probably see at least okay from the camera there. I'm kind of far away from the screen there, but these frets aren't straight across like you might normally see on most guitars. And the upshot there is that you don't play in keys or modes or key centers, tonal centers, pitch centers, I might say, other than what the open root strings give you. It's for people who know a little more about the ins and outs of music. It's in just intonation, a version of just intonation. So it's you might say a non-circular or kind of a non-transposing instrument. So there we are.
Yep. I love the dissonance and the bass sound, and love to have you treat us to a song on this instrument.
Yes. Let us. Let me just give some sort of context, a very brief kind of title explanation of this. It's the raga Yaman, and as you will hear throughout the rest of what I'll play today and sing, I am trying to present essentially the formal element of strophic variation. So we have a continually repetitive formal chunk, if we want to say, and we'll just see as the presentation, as the music unfolds here, both in this piece and in the subsequent pieces, that element that's something in common there. So this is Raga Yaman, and I very much hope you enjoy, and thank you so much again to Rick and everybody. And
You're welcome.
We'll continue to present and explore together. We're all learning day by day, aren't we? So great. Thank you so much. What's being framed.
Wow, invigorating and full of inspiring curiosity. So I have some great questions for you. So my first
Cool.
question is,
Excellent.
in what setting and where might I expect to hear this tune? And this have a different composer, or are you the composer of this?
So yeah, perfect point of departure there for the discussion of this musical tradition. It's very much setting specific, and it's very much improvisatory.
Mm-hmm.
So these melodic shapes, and there's a certain parameter through which you move through the essentially a tuning system, right? So everything's set out in a very fixed, quite fixed way, right? It's not like you can add any note you want.
Right.
Far from it. And that aligns, shall we say, with a particular time of the day. That's kind of the first rule. And we're in California, at least right here at 6:15. So this kind of evening sunset type of a timing for it is really the traditional context. But it's more than that, right? It's a mood. It's an image that goes right along with these, and there are ragas for
Nice. So basically, the raga is the term for the song, or for this piece, or this kind of music, and it does have an Indian flavor to it, and an East Indian flavor, and a scale as well. Are your strings, just out of curiosity, we might as well dig into this? Your strings are made of nylon?
These are nylon strings. It's essentially the same type of string you would put on a like what you would call a classical guitar,
Right.
Modern Spanish classical guitar.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. By the way, yeah. I mean, in terms of just to kind of round out that little answer to your question, the first melody I lifted, shall we say, from the fellow I mentioned earlier, Matthew Grosso. That's where I heard it first. These things are kind of an involving lineage of melodies and so on that are passed down through various kind of avenues. So I'm not quite sure where he might have learned that, but this is where I derived that the slower part from, right? And then into the more into the faster composition, not necessarily kind of the flourish at the end where I was doing more strumming, but the faster composition. That kind of feel, right?
Nice.
Kind of that upper tempo, faster tempo. That was my own creation. But again, notice how similar it is to the kind of the parent composition, right? So there's a nice and really interesting or eternally interesting, if you ask me, kind of mix of heritage and innovation almost, right? It's like you're creating within this kind of these kind of strictures, rules.
Nice. So and I know in our kind of warm up sessions, I heard you also play some jazz chords, which was such a different sound than what you just played. I'm getting that.
Well, that was a different instrument, Rick.
Oh yes, yeah. But when I say different sound, an entirely different kind of a mood. And I also think that this reminds me of, in the Jewish tradition, there are songs which are called nigunim, and a nigun is a song without words. And most of the nigunim have been passed down through the centuries, verbally, vocally, and not written. So, and of course, there are a lot of variations of those. So, and my ear is ready for whatever you bring.
Indeed. Yeah, thank you, Rick. Yeah, no. Again, I mean, this is a multi-pronged discussion. One interesting little bit to kind of wrap up before I move on to the next instrument, and thus the next style and time period, really, and kind of cultural center here. It's interesting that kind of fortuitous or how would you say it, serendipitous almost, but a little deeper than that. I mean, each of these instruments and each of these traditions that I'm sharing a little bit of here, really have kind of how do you say, they're really important reminders of particular sociological and almost anthropological, historical and kind of discussions on cultural interplay and shared tradition and kind of shared heritage. I mean, with the Indian style sort of fashion guitar that I just played, I mean, a lot of these how would you say, sort of what's been passed down has been largely a mixture of Hindu and Muslim thinking and practice and tradition and clearly spirituality and kind of worldview, heritage.
Yeah, I can hear that.
And it continues unfortunately to be a point of contention. But I mean, that's what I think is just kind of the fast forward. So important about music, and I'm finding more and more about particularly instruments related to the guitar is that there's this reminder that we share so much in common, and all of this kind of syncretic, kind of multicultural creation, needs to be kind of represented or continually shared, and as a reminder that hey, it's like right, there's this sort of unity and diversity, obviously, which is something we need to cherish, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. So where will you take us next?
Well, you know what? I'm glad you put it that way. I'm gonna quickly kind of change the scene here. So pardon my my quick pause. I'm gonna raise the microphone a little more convenient. I'm gonna sit in a bit of a stool and play a different instrument. I'm going to move a music stand in front, and so we're going to work on a bit of a repositioning of the stage.
That's all right. While you're doing that, I will remind everybody that this is Rick Konkoff's Coffee House. Every Monday night at 6 o'clock, we're doing performances, and we're doing all kinds of performances, everything ranging from originals to some covers to duos and singles. And we have a lot of music coming up in the Mondays to follow. And the way that we celebrate our musicians and our guests is through Venmo and PayPal contributions. So I'm sure that whatever would come in, Lars would appreciate it. And I am going to give him a little bit more of the space right now.
I can kind of talk as we do this too.
Go.
I am aiming, let's see, aiming a little more directly into Renaissance and Baroque Spain, or the Iberian Peninsula a little bit more broadly speaking, or even Europe and the Americas a little more broadly speaking, with an instrument that's known commonly as the Baroque guitar these days. It's a 5-course instrument, and well, you'll see it in a sec. It's very much definitive of Spain and its golden age, as they say. That's a particular historical period in literature, and to a certain degree in the other arts and sciences as well. The element of strophic variation, so this idea of a repeated, relatively small formal block of music comes into play here. And again, right, we have this this very rich discussion of sociology, and if you want to term it class, or just kind of the way society was run, and the way that art and music would contribute to the kind of the overall scene, you might say. For example, in this case, you have a guitar that was very much linked, just kind of to point one facet of it out, very much linked to dramatic works in the theater, and that was where, to a large extent, the commoners, common classes, sort of everyday folk, as opposed to nobility and people involved more with the courts and so on. It was really where they would go to find entertainment, and these became sort of the popular, almost like a rock and roll tune of those days.
All right, I can't wait to hear it.
Get on with it, he says. Get on with it. You'll hear with this number a similar plan in terms of music. There is something of a free introductory phase of the music, where we don't have really kind of that head nodding pulse. It's more of a the curtain rises, as it were, and we have this kind of painting to be presented almost, right? This kind of mood to be set, and then the song proper kind of begins and unfolds, and this is particularly interesting, I would say, in terms of how a relatively slow, subdued style can really grow through, and this is one principle of this music, and these they call them diferencias, or kind of variations on this theme, but it's continually growing, sort of ever growing complexity. So we have these sort of layers upon layers of how this music works. Guitars can be kind of fussy as far as tuning, so checking on that.
Wow. So that is that has a very Spanish feeling. And
Yes.
my two questions about that is what year or period might that represent in time? And number two is how do you get? There's a little glare behind you.
I noticed
and
that just now. I'm gonna.
It's in
I'm gonna
sync.
try and sing.
It's in sync with your playing. It was almost like a strobe light.
It was
So
gonna
it
bounce
jumped
in
out at
there.
us. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna see
yeah.
over in a second. Let me put the guitar down, then I'll sit. I'll sit to a little more appropriately here to to see each other a little better. Well, hold on to the second question, Rick. I can answer the first one.
Okay.
This was a piece. Again, there is a significant element of oral transmission, oral history. But the earliest, I believe, music that we have that the historical record can show for this dates to about 1625, if I'm not mistaken, early in the 17th century. And then, as you know, that what's generally termed the Baroque musical period progressed in Spain, you see this this tune called the Marizápalos more and more. So it really is quite indicative of representative, I should say, typical of the music that you would hear, and really not only in these kind of popular or more kind of street smart contexts, but also in a little more kind of royal and highfalutin type places.
Right. So nice. And so, what percentage? Again, I'm digging into this new, what is to me a new form of music. So, what percentage of that song was written verbatim as you were reading the music, and what percentage of it was improvised?
Yes. If you recall, I played a bit of a free intro, right? This kind of ongoing project of it's almost an operatic approach where I'm going to see if I can put this somewhere here.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're all friends. We're all friends.
Okay, cool. And that part was very much improvised. The melody that I sang was essentially verbatim, but there's room in this period and style of music for a bit of sort of personal touch. And then I just played one verse, might we say, kind of one strophe, right? Again, this is sort of an examination of like kind of repeating stanzas, right, in a poem, and with the same number of beats and so on, same number of measures and so on. I played one of those, kind of one iteration of that formal chunk, and then from then on, it was largely verbatim from an edition of a guitar manuscript, that is quite famous by Antonio Santa Cruz is his name. Yeah, and but even then, it's like it's not the same exact thing, sort of approach as you might call it kind of more of a Segovia-esque classical guitar approach, where it's very much like if you deviate from the score, a hair, you've sinned, right? It's not at all kind of that aesthetic, shall we say?
Right. And so great. So we've heard that the first piece, and now we've heard something was sort of from the Spanish tradition. And what's next?
Well, it might come as a bit of a surprise, if not for the the kind of preambles that I've been putting out on social media and so on. I'm going to do a little bit of a 20th century jazz tune.
Love it. All right.
This is composed by a fellow named Buddy Johnson. I've always loved this song, and my first exposure to it was through the score. It wasn't recording that I kind of really kind of connected with per se, but hearing various versions, of course, we have this kind of flexibility in jazz music, needless to say, common knowledge. So here I go with that.
Will you use a guitar?
Good question.
There it is.
Yeah, I'll play this jazz tune on this guitar, and then
nice.
an original following. We'll have time to sort of check in before that.
Great.
Pardon my tuning check here. think it's worth it though. Adjusting here. You know what? Let me just for the visual enjoyment, just raise the camera a little bit because I don't want to sort of point at the floor.
Great. We are our own engineers in this business
For the moment.
Of online. Everybody's a show host, and everybody is a recording artist, and everybody's an artist, and we're all doing this together. I appreciate you coming on, and I hope that folks will take a listen to this music. And it's one of those things also where, and I know for myself, I'm so used to Western meter and Western scales. One has to open one's mind to hear different patterns that allow for expression in a different way. So
absolutely.
I'm learning.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's another aspect of kind of showing a few iterations of the guitar. Again, this is just the tip of the iceberg, but I mean, it's really been kind of how do you describe it? A crucial instrument or family of instruments in terms of, as you mentioned, kind of various scale arrangements and we call them species, right? Sort of how do you divide the octave and so on. But it is a fascinating thing and lots of math for all of you all of you number people out there.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Here I go. Pardon me, I'm just going to take a quick sip of beverage here. It's tea. It's tea.
Okay, so will I. I've got coffee. Bring your coffee to the coffee house.
Cheers, Rick. Cheers. A little east-west interfacing here. When you just give love and you never get love, you better let love depart. I know it's so, but yet and yet I know. Can't say but yet, it's just grammatically incorrect. I can't get you out of my heart. You made me leave my happy home. You took my love and now you're gone. Since I fell for you, love brings such misery and pain. I know I'll never be the same. Since I fell for you. Yes, too bad. It's too sad, but I'm in love with you. Yeah, you love me and snub me. What can I do? I'm still in love with you. Oh, honey. I guess I'll never see the light. I get the blues most every night. Since I fell for you. Yeah, it's too bad. It's too sad. But I'm in love with you. Love me. And you snub me. What can I do? I'm still in love with you. Oh, yes, I'll never see the light. I get the blues most every night. Since I fell for you. Whoa, honey, since I fell for you. Since I fell for you. Since I fell for you.
So nice. As I'm listening, I am hearing that perhaps I'm going to guess that your first instrument was a bass instrument. Would I be right?
Well, I mean, no and yes. I played piano, and I mean, you know, this kind of reminds me. I love the Johnny Otis show. Did you ever hear the Johnny Otis show?
Yes, absolutely, for years.
And so, you know, I mean, there was a little bit of that. My dad's no musician, but he taught me a few kind of boogie woogie lines on the piano, and I played, you know, kind of more in a more kind of classically trained, you know, kind of formal style of piano.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's actually what I love about part of what I love about the seven-string guitar too is that you get this kind of bass accompaniment possibility or scope for bass accompaniment that the six-string or kind of more if you want to put a label in standard guitar doesn't have to the same degree. There that does exist.
You get that walking bass. I have
Right.
a question. This is a sort of what I might call an eclectic. No, not an eclectic question. It's just a good question. And the question is, what do you play when you sit down and you're in a mellow mood and you just want to relax? Which instrument do you pick up and what do you play?
Well,
what's your kind of let it all down song?
Indeed, that is a great question, and I think it's an important question everyone should sort of ask themselves, right? I mean, I love improvising, and so sometimes I literally just create music on the spot and find ways to groove. Other times, and kind of in keeping with this project of presenting kind of music and rhythmic approaches to music and rhythm for kind of dramatic effect. I might just kind of play out of rhythm. I mean, just kind of this kind of more. And kind of allow my kind of stew to simmer and see kind of what comes out. I mean, that's what I think is a lot of that's what's behind kind of being fluent in sort of the language of music. If you ask me, it's just like how do you kind of allow these moods to come to you, and how do you listen for them in your own playing, right? I mean, when we talk or decide what I want to do on my Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, or if you're on vacation, kind of what do you want to do, right? How do you want to feel, and how do you want people around you to feel, right? So I mean, yeah, it's
when
kind
you're
of
playing,
question, but yeah, open answer to say.
When you're playing at a club, then or you're playing a casual gig, so you're gonna go off of the feeling of the crowd.
To a certain degree, yeah. That was one interesting fact that I learned about John Coltrane. To listen and kind of vibe, what's going on around you. How do you most accurately say what can't be said, kind of thing, right? It's kind of the universal, I guess, theme of instrumental music, maybe at least. But yeah. Again, open-ended answer. How do I just kind of vibe, and it might be something that I've never played before. Yeah, it's hard to answer definitively, but I'm always exploring just kind of how to set scenes musically, I guess.
What would you play? And again, if I hate to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to,
no, I'm happy to hear it, Rick.
Okay, if you wanted to create kind of romantic feeling, kind of a light, airy, romantic.
I've always loved the major 7 sound, and certain spots on the guitar can allow that as well. And that's the thing with engaging in like kind of a historically informed approach to music, is that you find how you can kind of parallel or reprise and kind of parody or paraphrase things. For example, I mean, that's a B flat kind of major 7 sound. And to give kind of a fun fact or an avenue of exploration, the B flat major was in the era of key characteristics, right? Key affect, and how certain keys, whether they be major or minor, how they are better suited for setting certain moods than others. B flat was very much kind of a key of love and almost eros, right? Almost this sort of romance and that sort of thing. So, but I find it on this instrument, for example. Some of the open strings, it's kind of low on the fretboard.
Yeah.
A nice kind of very much like sort of falling onto a huge pillow and saying
Nice. Well, yeah. So let's hear one of those. I mean, you can pick anything you like. We've got time for maybe couple more numbers. Your friend Nate Lopez says, "Yo, Lars."
Good to hear. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate that.
Nice. He says nice.
I took a lesson with Nate some time ago, and I suppose he might notice that I've changed quite a bit since.
Yes, I bet.
Very good. Great. Well, thanks everybody once again. It's just kind of a pleasure to be in this kind of space at the moment. And what more do you want to say?
I want another song. I'm loving
exactly.
it.
We have
and I was thinking also while you're thinking of what song to do, what you would really probably have a good time, and so would the participants in an improv class. I think it would be very interesting to have kind
of like a dramatic kind of thing,
right?
As in like acting.
Yes, I think so. Particularly some.
Indeed.
I used to run a music program at a high school, and we had these alternative classes for the kids in the high school. And I was thinking as you were playing and as you're talking tonight, this would be a fantastic inspiration for them because they're so locked into the framework of a song and an A part and a B part, a chorus, verse, refrain, bridge. And I love that your stuff goes outside of that, and I'm sure that there's a lot of kids that would definitely, for lack of a better term, groove on that.
Cool. Well, yeah. As far as what I've prepared to share with everybody here, this could be kind of a closing bit. What I will do is tack on something of an original. In an appropriately sort of styled, an appropriate style. Excuse me. That'll lead at least somewhat sensibly from this little groove, as you say. This is the last little again kind of bit I plan to explain and present kind of semi-formally here, and then I'll just kind of end by sharing a little bit of an original addendum to an original groove.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. I can't hear you, Rick. Are you muted?
Muted when I want to be talking and talking when I want to be muted. Beautiful. What I said was beautiful. Nice piece. And I just had to put myself on the screen here because I was moving and feeling it. And I'm being honest with you. I got to be honest with you. As the kids say, this is new music to me. This is I've not heard this before. And the lower bass string is just really engaging. Really nice.
And I mean, it just makes you think about the guitar. I mean, Yamandu Costa, he's a Brazilian guitarist, one of my absolute, inspirations, idols, however you want to term it. But fortunately, as a side note, I was able to meet him and see him play and meet him before, when live music was still a reality. And he'll say the 7-string guitar is, it proposes ideas, right? It's alive. It kind of allows you to be a little more orchestral and a little more colorful, or I don't know. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. It never comes out exactly how you were hoping or expecting, etc. But I mean, wow, it's just kind of so much more. How would you say? More of an experience, right? For me,
it is. It's very creative, and it's perfect. Actually, perfect coffee house music. So I want to also mention that Lars, like all other musicians, except even the ones that are making all the millions of bucks, Lars works hard and is a multifaceted guy with a number of occupations, a lovely wife, and a sweet little daughter who I got to meet on screen last week. And I would love to see you guys leave him a little donation in the virtual tip jar.
Indeed, and even if it's a matter of just getting in touch and discussing things, I try to be as accessible as possible. And my work is continually in progress, and I'm hopefully learning as much as possible. And I teach and consult, etc., and do a number of things. Yeah, as you say, in music and otherwise. And so, hey, it's great to be here, and thanks so much.
And so, did you say you have one last thing in store for us?
No.
Or was that it? That was it.
I tacked something else. It actually took me a little bit to think, like, what can I do here? But I ended up going back to a very similar kind of.
That was great. I thought I think it was a good note to end on. I just didn't want to leave you off hanging. And I so appreciate what you do. I appreciate your dedication. Likewise, as a musician. There are so many people who at this time are finding solace and inspiration in their creativity and actually finding out what really matters. And someone reminded me yesterday, I was out at a baseball game, the first baseball game in a year and a half, saw the A's, and nice. I saw the A's lose again, but that's a problem. But what I did experience was hearing someone say, boy, how lucky we were to be out there watching a game in our little separated little pod with our bag of food that we brought from home. So many folks have suffered and are suffering illness and after effects and loss. And so I want to send my heart out to everybody. Join us here on Monday nights, and I promise to continue to bring you some great music. Next week, Lars, I hope you'll tune in. We have someone named Luigi Jordan. Luigi it's a funny name from where he's from, Bolivia, and he has been studying master guitar playing in Darmstadt, Germany. Yes. And you'll enjoy his playing. He's masterful and wonderful, and you'll see a little clip of him, and we'll add him to the guitar club. And also I will tell you, and anybody else who's interested, if there are people who are out there who would like to perform, and eventually I'm planning to do some workshops also where we can collaborate and maybe even get together in person, a number of us, and do some songwriting and do some improvisation with your guidance for sure. And like a good musician, you're folding up your music stand, and I know
I'm trying to be efficient time-wise. Come on.
You're in the process of moving. You're in the process of moving, and that's exhausting. So I wish you all the luck in the world, and take care. And thanks everybody for coming tonight.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everybody.